You already know who it is, King Fortune. We back in here, and today we're going to be discussing the blueprint of solar evolution. Now, the reason I wanted to illustrate this point, as we see we have been taking notes, was good. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Now, the reason I wanted to show y'all the notes is I wanted to get a little bit more technical here so y'all can kind of see how this evolves. What's the deal? What's the deal? A100, y'all already know. Now, as we see right in front of us, we see the blueprint of solar evolution. Now, if we were to break down the word blueprint, it breaks down to the number 9, which is a number of manifestation. If we break down solar, it breaks down to number 2, or master number 11, which represents time and cycles. If we were to break down evolution, we get to number 7, which is the number of priesthood or godhood. So when we put all this together, so the blueprint of solar evolution represents the manifestation of the time and cycles of priesthood or godhood. So essentially, this is the difference between spirituality and solar reality. Once again, right? Now, let's go through these notes. First and foremost, the blueprint is essentially the primordial energy of the divine manifesting in matter. So that's the first thing to understand. The primordial energy of the divine manifesting in matter. So this is primitive, primordial, however you want to put it. However, it is not yet fully formulated as will. So in other words, you can say this is the formless spirit energy. So let's write this down as formless spiritual energy. Formless spiritual energy. That's what the blueprint is. So whenever we're talking about the blueprint, we're talking about energy that hasn't been formulated yet, but within the DNA of the spirit, or you can say the ether, however you want to put it. It has DNA, or another way to say this is we know that the spirit already has its intention even before it manifests. Just like a child within the womb, the blueprint of that child developing fully is already within the blueprint. It's already written on the DNA codes. So the ether, or the formless spiritual energy, has codes or patterns within the universe that have already been laid down. In other words, the blueprint is already within the formlessness of the spiritual energy, although it has not been really formulated as willpower just yet. The second thing we must realize is because this formless spiritual energy has the blueprint already encoded within it, it is a gateway of resurrection. Now, by resurrection, I mean the renewal of the waters. Because, you know, a lot of times we talk about purification through the fire. Specifically, in this instance, we're talking about the renewal of the waters versus the fires. Now, the reason we're dealing with the waters instead of the fires is because we have this energy, as we see here. Even though solar represents the fire, it breaks down to the number 2, which is the number of the moon. And again, the moon represents time and cycles. So even though the word solar represents fire, if you were to break it down and discover its hidden meaning, now it's dealing with the waters. And again, this is another way of saying the timing and the cycles of your evolution. See, when it comes to consciousness, when it comes to spirituality, whatever you want to deem this as, it is based in time and cycles. It's just certain years that you off, it's certain years that you on, certain months that you off, certain years that you on, certain days you're off, certain days you're on. That's just a natural flow of cycles. So what we're attempting to do here is we're trying to decode the manifestation of these cycles and how you can use the manifestation of these cycles for your priesthood. as we have described here, because this formless spiritual energy, or as we call ether, has already been pre-coded, or the patterns have already been set, although there is no formulation of will as of yet. In other words, because we're dealing with the waters, this is the time of midnight. So let me write midnight down. So at midnight, we have the third house is in rulership for those astrology heads, which is a house of Gemini, right? Gemini is all about communication, right? What type of communication are we speaking about, though? Geminis like to know information and knowledge about as many things that they can comprehend, so that they can be able to communicate effectively and efficiently. That is the overall theme. So at the midnight hour, that is the time to tap into the third house, or the Gemini, in order to develop the efficiency of your conversation or your communication with what we deem as the spirit or the ether. So if you are trying to communicate with your willpower or your solar energy, the best time to do this is at midnight, because the third house is in rulership, and that's where all communication takes place. Now, where exactly do you go? Because we also see above, we have the forbidden landscape, or the dark room of Osiris. So let me write this down. Let me go a little bit further down. The dark room of Osiris. We know Osiris to be the lord of the underworld, another name for Asar, another name for Shiva, right? So we can also put Shiva here for all my Vedic studiers. So you got Osiris, aka Shiva, and Shiva is known as the destroyer, right? When the eye of Shiva is open, it destroys the known universe and brings into existence universe B. It destroys universe A and brings into existence universe B, the coming world versus the known world. So you have this formless spiritual energy, or this ether, that already has a blueprint laid down. The dark room of Osiris, or Shiva, is the destroyer of universe A and the bringer of universe B. And again, the best time to do this, the best time to communicate with this Shiva energy or this Osiris energy is midnight, when you get into deep meditations and you take yourself to this forbidden landscape, or the dark room of Osiris is you allow yourself to go to the deepest, darkest aspects of who and what you think you are, aka universe B, because universe B normally can't really be seen with the physical eyes. You must go within. So the forbidden landscape is the darkest chambers of your subconscious mind. It's the places where you can say trauma is stored. It's the places that no one wants to open, aka Pandora's box. You open up Pandora's box when you enter into the dark room of Osiris, or the dark room of Shiva, because we know when you enter into this dark room, everything will be destroyed. In other words, let's just say if a person is still mad at somebody for any type of offense, whatever emotions, whatever type of spiritual energy that you are holding within, that you may be, feeling a type of way about a certain situation, a certain person, anything that is holding you back, anything that is still stopping you from truly exploring the intelligence of the heart chakra, because we know the intelligence of the heart chakra is the land of the judge, the divine judge. Meaning, do you forgive yourself? Fuck the person, fuck the place, fuck the event, fuck the trauma. Do you forgive yourself? Because it is only by forgiving yourself do you gain access to the dark room of Osiris. Because again, just like Jesus is always pointing to the heart, because that is the place of the divine judge. Universe B has to come into existence through the heart, not the brain. The heart. The heart is the strongest intelligence in the body. The last point I want to make here is, once you are in acceptance of who and what you are, for example, it's easy to be mad at other people for what they may have done to us, but we have to take into considerations, we placed ourselves in whatever situation that we may have been in for a higher purpose. If we're able to get over our emotions, if we're able to get over the ego, we can understand why we had to go through certain experiences in life, positive or negative, good, bad, right, or wrong. We are going beyond judgment. The heart chakra is a divine judge. This is going beyond judgment of yourself and other human beings, because we all know that we are animalistic in some of our ways, for better or worse. But once we transcend all that, once we get out of our emotions, once we get out of our feelings, and we understand that if certain events did not occur in our lives, then we would not be who we are. You may have had to go through trauma to get over the trauma, which activated your priesthood. The priesthood comes from recalibrating or redirecting energy that's already within us that may be running haphazardly in that dark room that everybody is afraid to explore. So if you are afraid to explore the dark room of Osiris or the dark room of Shiva, to destroy every goddamn thing that you thought you knew, every goddamn thing that you felt that you had a connection to leave it all behind you, because you can't even access the higher chakras unless you leave it all behind. Whoever you feel you are, you have to leave it all behind. This is the introduction into the priesthood, or on the brink of transfiguration. You have to be on the brink of transfiguration. If you need a definition, it is a complete change of form or appearance into a more beautiful or spiritual state. This is what we're talking about. So transfiguration is a complete change of form. There's a definition right there. A complete change of form or appearance into a more beautiful or spiritual state. It don't say halfway. It don't say 25%. It doesn't say 50%. It doesn't say 75%. It doesn't even say 99%. A complete transformation. Hold on, there we go. A complete transformation. A complete change. So everything before, everything in the past, everything in the present, everything in the future, let it all go. Because only through letting all this go are you able to become aware of a secret wonder. That transfiguration must take place in order for you to become aware of that secret wonder, which connects you to your priesthood or your godhood. So what is this secret wonder? A feeling of surprise that comes from admiration caused by something that is beautiful, unexpected, or unfamiliar. We don't have to go through the whole definition. So we're talking about you have to completely open yourself up to experience something that may be unfamiliar, something that may be unexpected, because too many times we try to have complete control over our reality, which disconnects us from the source energy, because we don't want to go to an unfamiliar place. We don't want to have an unexpected experience. Like, who wants to go through a surprise in terms of you thought your check was coming Friday, but that bitch didn't come to Monday? Many people don't want to go through that. They ain't ready for that. So in those couple days, you may not have any money. Now you got to figure out a different route to get things done. However, the only way for you to have full acceptance of that reality, you have to destroy Universe A. Like, oh, this is a bad situation. You know, this is something that I shouldn't be going through. Again, the dark room of Osiris must be conquered in order to bring into existence Universe B at the hour of midnight, which is ruled by the third house of Gemini, which is all about communication. Communication of what? The form of spiritual energy, which is the ether, which has the DNA codes of who and what you are before you even came into physical form. The blueprint of solar evolution, the manifestation of your own time and cycles, so that you can open up the gateways of your priesthood or godhood. The difference between Universe A and Universe B. You must completely reinvent yourself. You have to be completely reinvented. Anything old, 19th century, 20th century, anything old will not work in the 21st century. This is a new type of energy. What worked in 2018 will not work in 2019. So we have to destroy all things of the past in order to manifest the futuristic thoughts or the futuristic mindset of who we already are, because it's already in the DNA, it's already in the ethers, it's already in the spiritual energy. The only thing that's holding it back, again, is the entering of the dark room of Osiris. You have to be the destroyer. See, we are more focused on being the creator, but you must be the destroyer. So we're going from the creator or the Brahma to the Shiva, the destroyer. And again, the perfect time is midnight because most people are asleep. They're inside. It's not really, the energy is really real stagnant. But if you have no fear of the dark room of Osiris or the midnight hour, the eye of Shiva, which can be seen on the Tower card in certain tarot decks. You see that opening of that eye, which brings about that lightning bolt, that sudden change, right? When you study the Tower card, which is another way of saying the war card, because it's ruled by the energy of Mars. If you're able to deal with those sudden changes of consciousness, those sudden changes of a different turn of events, how do you cope with that sudden change of events, that sudden change of spirituality that you were not expecting, that was unexpected, that you couldn't have calculated? That's the incalculable factor, something that cannot be measured. How do you deal with something that can't be measured? Universe B cannot be measured. Shiva cannot be measured. Osiris cannot be measured because it's going on within the subconscious mind. So the blueprint of solar evolution cannot be measured. The manifestation of your own personal cycles within the body and outside of the body, you can say in nature. So this is internal and external in order for you to gain access to the gateways or the portals of priesthood or godhood, again, which is universe B. When you have completely destroyed who you thought you were and created who you really are, or you allowed your natural incarnation or your natural manifestations to take over because you have went through the veils of the heart. You have forgiven yourself, right? So here we go. So y'all see everything, study it up. And the perfect example is the Joker. You see, he is standing on top of the world. The other, another symbol standing on top of the world is the Baphomet. You see the Baphomet with his legs folded, and he is sitting on top of the world, right? You see he has a very, clownish appearance, but this represents a universal law. This is why it is the Joker, because I remember I asked the people, what is a joke, right? See, the Joker, if you don't know what a joke is, then you will not be able to understand the Joker and why the Joker likes to play tricks, or the trickster spirit. If you don't understand what a joke is, you can't understand how to successfully deal with the trickster spirit, because it is only through the trickster spirit that you are able to transform through the heart, because the trickster normally deals with the crossroads, just like Ishu, right? Ishu, or the devil, is dealing with the crossroads. But you have to be able to what? Take a joke. But if you don't know what a joke is, if you think it's, something just people laugh at, then, it's a mystery within a mystery and a mystery. Why is he throwing down cards? Now, I went into deeper insight into this in the metaphysics, or the metaphysical concept of luck, part 2 on the website. So I'm not going to necessarily break down everything here, just to give you a brief visual of how do you stand on top of the world. So obviously the gesture, he's not concerned with how he looks. He looks like a fucking idiot, but he understands the law. That's why there's a smile on his face. Let me see if I can zoom in. You see that? Hold on. He don't seem worried about a goddamn thing. He's just doing his thing. Most people would never go outside looking like this. But the gesture always had the secret or the hidden meanings behind things. So this is a symbol of something greater for those who can decode the symbolism. So we're going to leave it at there. We're 20 minutes in. I just wanted to give y'all some notes. Y'all take it easy. Peace.